All right, let's dive into one of the biggest showdowns in tech right now. We're talking about the high stakes battle for the future of AI. And this isn't just a fight about who can make the fastest chip. No, this is about the entire philosophy that's going to shape the next decade of technology.
I mean, think about it. The AI revolution isn't coming. It is here, right now. Every time you use a chatbot or see some wild AI-generated art, there are these incredibly powerful engines in the background doing all the heavy lifting. So, who's actually building them?
For a very long time, the answer to that question was pretty much just one name: NVIDIA. They didn't just lead the pack, they were the pack. They built an entire empire on their GPUs and their software, becoming the undisputed king of the AI hardware hill. But that's all starting to change. A serious challenger has stepped into the ring. And we're not talking about just another competitor. AMD is coming at this with a fundamentally different strategy, a whole other vision for how the future of AI ought to be built. And that right there is the core of this whole thing. This isn't just about silicon and benchmarks. It's a genuine battle of ideas, a clash of competing philosophies. So here's where you can really see the two game plans side by side. On one hand, you have NVIDIA's closed ecosystem. Think of it like a beautiful but high-walled garden. Everything inside works together perfectly, but once you're in, it's really hard to leave. That's vendor lock-in. And on the other side, AMD is betting the farm on an open approach, an open field, basically. They're all about open standards that give developers more freedom and more choice. So what's AMD's big weapon in this fight for the open field? It all comes down to their software, a platform called ROCm. That stands for Radeon Open Compute. This is the key that developers use to unlock all the raw AI power inside AMD's hardware. Now, for a while, let's be honest, ROCm was kind of seen as playing catch-up. But in 2025, that whole story flipped on its head. ROCm 7.0 was released, and it wasn't just another update. It was a massive leap forward that completely changed the game. And the performance jump was just staggering. AMD themselves said it delivered over 3.5 times the inference capability. I mean, that's not just an improvement, that's a revolutionary leap. Just let that sink in for a second. 3.5x. That's not your usual 10% better kind of update. This is a colossal jump in power, the kind of thing that makes the entire industry sit up and pay very close attention. So you've got this killer new software, but what hardware does it run on? Well, this is where AMD's strategy gets really smart. They aren't making a one-size-fits-all product. They've built a whole segmented arsenal with different weapons for different fronts in this AI war. And you can see that strategy laid out right here. They've carved up the market into 4 distinct lines. You have Radeon RX for gamers, Radeon Pro for the creative professionals, Radeon AI for developers, and then the absolute beast of the lineup, Instinct, for the giant data centers. It's a full spectrum attack. Let's start with the one most of us know best, Radeon RX. This is AMD's bread and butter for PC gamers. The whole game here is about giving you the best performance for your dollar, packed with features like FSR that magically boost your frame rates. And frankly, having them compete so hard in this space is great for all of us because it keeps prices honest. Then we have the Radeon Pro line. This is for the people who make a living with their computers. We're talking engineers, 3D artists, video editors. For them, raw speed is second to absolute rock-solid stability. That's why these cards have certified drivers for programs like Autodesk and Adobe, and even special error-correcting memory to prevent data corruption. Super critical stuff. And now we get to the heavy hitter, AMD Instinct. Let's be crystal clear, these are not graphics cards. They are pure, raw compute accelerators designed for one thing: powering massive AI and supercomputing tasks in data centers. They actually strip out the graphics parts to focus every last transistor on pure computation. These are the monsters that are directly challenging NVIDIA at the very high end. And finally, there's the newest part of the family, Radeon AI. This product is so important because it acts as a bridge. It's for the individual developer or small team that needs serious AI power, but doesn't have a data center in their basement. It puts dedicated AI hardware and that full ROCm software stack right on their desktop, democratizing AI development in a huge way. So you've got these two giants with two completely different philosophies battling it out. But let's bring it back home. Why should you actually care? Why does any of this matter outside of a tech boardroom?
Well, because this is what real competition does. It benefits everybody. It pushes both companies to innovate faster and faster. It puts pressure on prices, which is good for our wallets. It prevents a single company from getting a monopoly on something as critical as AI. And maybe most importantly, it gives the people building our future more choice, more flexibility, and more freedom.
Which brings us to the final billion-dollar question. AMD is betting everything that an open, flexible ecosystem is what the world wants. NVIDIA is betting that its polished, powerful walled garden will continue to reign supreme. The question that's going to define the next era of tech is pretty simple. In the race to build the engines of intelligence, which will win? The open field or the wall's garden?